Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel. I personally think that the Callisto protocol is actually a pretty good game, and I have to admit that I had more fun playing the Callisto protocol than I had fun with Dead Space. I just found the gameplay and especially the audio presentation, much better in the Callisto protocol than in Dead Space. But when we're now talking about the HDR presentation, when we're talking about the HDR quality, then clearly Dead Space is the winner. But of course, that doesn't mean that the HDR presentation in the Callisto protocol is bad. No, it just means that the HDR presentation in Dead Space is much better. Especially when we're talking about shadow details, because the Callisto protocol has a very big issue. Sometimes the game looks very washed out, and sometimes you have a lot of black level crush.
Lethal force has been authorized. Area secured. Moving to medical sector.
And I think the problem with the Callisto protocol is that we never had a perfect HDR black level floor. When you remember, when the game was released, we had actually a terrible HDR black level race. That means the whole game looked actually very washed out all the time. And because many people, including myself, complained about this issue, they introduced at some point the black point correction. The problem now is that even with this new setting, we can't fix the poor HDR implementation. Okay, so let me explain what I'm talking about. If you don't touch any HDR settings, then you end up with a very washed out picture. And when you look very closely on very dark textures, you will also notice that you don't have much of details because the picture is so washed out. And with this setting, all what we're actually doing is making the whole picture much darker. That means the lower end from the gamma or the lower end from the EUTF curve is just getting much darker, but it doesn't add or introduce more details. And the reason for that is that we have this very bad or poor HDR implementation in the first place, because there is no way that you can have proper shadow details when you have already an raised HDR black level floor. That's the main reason, and all what this setting is doing is just making the whole picture darker. So again, it is much better, don't get me wrong, because you don't want to have a washed out picture as it was before, but compared to other games, compared to Dead Space, you will see this immediately that you are missing out a lot of details in shadows or very dark textures. But enough with complaining, I would say we move on and we're talking about my recommended settings for this game, because I still recommend to play actually in HDR, because the specular highlights or in general the contrast with the correct settings is actually much better than in SDR, and this is what makes HDR actually not bad in this game. So the first thing what we need to consider is that this game on the PlayStation 5 and also on the Xbox supports the HDR system level calibration. And that means that I would strongly recommend that you follow the instruction on the screen to have the best HDR experience in this game. On the PC, on the other hand, it does look a little bit different, because apparently this game does not support the HDR system level calibration under Windows 11. All what I found is settings like 800, 1000, 2000 nits, and what I would recommend, if you know the maximum peak brightness of your TV screen or monitor, and let's say it's 1500 nits, but you can't choose 1500 nits in a game, I would always go for the higher number, in this case 2000 nits, to make sure that you're using the maximum peak brightness on your TV screen or monitor. And now let's move on to the internal HDR settings what we have in the game. And the first recommendation is very simple. The black point correction setting, just decrease this setting to the absolute minimum. It's a little bit harder to make a proper recommendation for the brightness setting, but what I found is that you should at least increase this setting by +5. Maximum +20. What I found is that let's say you increase the setting to +25, you will start actually raising the HDR black level floor again, and you will introduce again a very washed out picture. So again, a value from +5 to maximum +20, in my opinion, is a very good recommendation. And of course, the question as always, HDR, dynamic tone mapping on, or Dolby Vision. And first of all, this game does not support Dolby Vision natively, but if you like Dolby Vision on your TV screen or monitor better, then just go for it. It doesn't matter at all. I personally found HDR in this game just perfect because dynamic tone mapping on is actually overbrightening the picture way too much, and especially for a horror game like that, you don't like this. I don't like this, okay? So my recommendation is either Dolby Vision on the Xbox or HDR. Okay, my friends, so that's it for this video. I hope you like the content. If you do so, then please consider a like, share, and yeah, a subscription. And if you like it very much, then maybe you can consider to become a member as well. I would much appreciate this. Let me know what games or what topic you like to see next on this channel, and I will try to make it happen. Thank you very much, and I talk to you guys next time. Bye.